Have you ever wondered why we love the way we do? Why some of us find it so easy to connect, while for others it feels, well, complicated? Today, we're going to dive deep into something called attachment theory. It's an incredible tool for understanding our most important relationships.
But let's start with a question that might feel, a little too real. Why is it that we sometimes find ourselves staying in painful situations or repeating the same frustrating relationship patterns over and over again? It makes no logical sense, right?
Well, that's because the answer isn't actually in our logical adult brain. It's way back in our past. See, our earliest relationships, the ones with our caregivers, they actually created a kind of blueprint, an internal map for how love and connection are supposed to work. And we carry that map with us our entire lives.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the puzzles of attachment, look at the 4 main patterns that psychologists have identified, trace them back to their causes, and then see how caregiving really shapes everything. And we'll wrap up with a really powerful idea, that these patterns are actually genius survival strategies. So, let's put on our detective hats. We're going on an investigation, looking for clues in our own lives and in the lives of the people around us to really crack the code of attachment.
And the first big set of clues comes from the work of psychologists who figured out there are really 4 main ways we learn to connect with people. 4 fundamental patterns of attachment.
This chart is a fantastic snapshot. You've got secure, where you feel safe and confident in your connections. Then there's anxious, where you're often worried about being left. Avoidant, where deep intimacy can feel kind of threatening. And finally, disorganized, which is a more complex mix of wanting and fearing closeness. As we go, just notice if any of these resonate with you.
So, the big question is, where do these different styles come from? I mean, why does one person grow up feeling secure, while another feels anxious or learns to avoid closeness altogether? Well, it all comes down to the caregiver.
And the answer, which was absolutely groundbreaking, came from a researcher named Mary Ainsworth. She realized it wasn't just about how much a parent loved their child. It was about 2 very specific, very practical things: their sensitivity and their responsiveness.
Let's make this crystal clear. Think of it like this. Sensitivity is knowing how to do CPR. You see someone in trouble and you recognize what they need, but responsiveness is actually doing the CPR. It's getting down on the floor and starting the chest compressions. One is seeing the need, the other is acting on it.
All right, now we get to connect the dots. Let's look at exactly how these different parenting patterns cook up each of the attachment styles we just talked about.
So first up, the secure style. This gets built when a caregiver is consistently good at both. They're sensitive, they see the need, and they're responsive. They reliably meet that need. You can see this simple but incredibly powerful feedback loop. The child sends out a signal, the caregiver tunes in and responds. The core message the child gets, deep in their bones, is, when I need help, someone will be there. I'm safe. The world is a safe place. That's the foundation for a secure life. But what happens when that care is totally hit or miss? When sometimes mom or dad is tuned in and loving, but other times they're just not there. That kind of inconsistency is what creates an anxious attachment. For the child, this is like living with a slot machine. They have to keep pulling the lever, crying louder, clinging tighter, because they know a payout of love and attention might come, but they never know when. It's a really stressful guessing game. So, the child learns a crucial lesson. To get my needs met, I have to crank up the volume and stay as close as possible. And this makes so much sense of why adults with this style have such a deep fear of abandonment. They're still wired for that childhood uncertainty.
Okay, so let's check out a third scenario. What if the caregiver isn't just unpredictable, but they're consistently dismissive or even rejecting when the child shows emotional needs? The child learns a really painful but, pretty logical lesson. If I ask for comfort, I get ignored or pushed away. It's pointless and it hurts. So to protect themselves, they learn to shut down that need for closeness. They become super independent because for them, intimacy equals pain.
And this brings us to what might be the most profound and honestly the most healing insight in all of attachment theory. This idea completely reframes how we look at all these patterns.
And it's this. No attachment style is wrong or broken. Every single one, even the ones that cause us so much trouble as adults, is a brilliant, intelligent adaptation to a specific childhood environment.
I mean, think about it. If you have a parent who constantly rejects you, learning to be self-reliant and avoidant isn't a flaw. It's a genius way to minimize pain. If you have an unpredictable parent, being anxious and clingy is the best possible strategy to maximize your chances of getting care.
So the big shift here is to stop seeing these patterns as flaws that you should be ashamed of. Instead, see them as proof of your resilience. They were once necessary survival strategies that your amazing brain came up with to get you through.
And that leads us to the final, and I think most empowering question. That old strategy worked back then, but you're an adult now. Your world is different. So the question is no longer, what's wrong with me? The real question is, okay, what new strategy do I need today to build the happy, secure connections that I want and deserve?